It's Thursday, August 21st. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. A maritime doctor is charged with sexually assaulting a hospital patient. Country kickoff, we go live to Dieppe for day one of the YQM Festival.
As Hurricane Aaron passes to the south and east, large waves are possible on parts of the coast.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. A New Brunswick doctor who once practiced in Nova Scotia has been charged with sexually assaulting a patient. The incident allegedly occurred in the Amherst Hospital emergency room last winter. As CTV's Callum Smith reports, police believe there could be victims in other provinces.
Dr. Sanjeev Sirpal is facing one count of sexual assault. The allegations date back to January and were reported to police in May. RCMP says it allegedly happened during an assessment at the Cumberland Regional Health Centre's emergency department.
I'm absolutely disheartened and heartbroken about these allegations, both from the point of view that, you know, there's potentially a victim, and I don't think that people understand the courage it takes for someone to come forward.
But the county's mayor says he's also disheartened for hospital workers and those who work so hard to recruit people to work here.
Patients and the public in general have an expectation of a level of trust that is actually, you know, much higher in the healthcare system.
When Christine Chalk learned of the allegations, her first response was,
"What a shame. What a shame. That's difficult. It makes you nervous. You don't want to go to the hospital, especially with young kids."
For Diane Seymour, the allegations leave her
utterly disgusted.
But her trust in the system hasn't changed. Sirpal was arrested 1 week ago and police announced the charge today. RCMP believe there are additional victims out there, but won't say why.
He has actually worked in 3 provinces, so Quebec, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. Anytime someone who is in a position that has some power or authority, there's always concerns when we get allegations like this.
They're encouraging anyone who may have been a victim to come forward. New Brunswick's College of Physicians and Surgeons says Sirpal has had restrictions on his license to practice since March 14th, but they're unrelated to the criminal charge in Nova Scotia. The college's website lists a doctor by the same name who specializes in family medicine, and his office is at the Edmundston Regional Hospital. Sirpal's license restrictions include that he can only conduct intimate exams of a patient's sexual organs with a chaperone present, and that he must explain to the patient the rationale for intimate examination, while documenting the discussion and the chaperone's identity. Now, it's important to note these are allegations at this point. Nothing has been tested in court. Sirpal was released on conditions when he was charged and is due in Amherst Provincial Court for a first appearance in November. Todd.
Callum Smith leading us off in Amherst tonight. And late this afternoon, CTV News was told by the Vitalite Health Network in New Brunswick that Dr. Sirpal is no longer on the work schedule at the Edmundston Regional Hospital, and his clinical activities are on hold pending the outcome of that legal process. A 27-year-old Charlottetown man has been arrested and charged with 8 child-related sexual offenses. Nathan Paul Green was allegedly engaged in the sexual exploitation of underage girls online. The RCMP Major Crime Unit, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and Europol in the U.K. are all part of the investigation that led to his arrest. Green remains in custody, and he is next scheduled to appear in court on the 4th of September. Multiple arrests in Fredericton this morning had police warning people to avoid a north side neighborhood and nearby City Park. Police issued an alert on social media just before 8 a.m. telling people to avoid the Pine Street area, later extending that advisory to Carlton Park. The alert was over about 2 hours later. Police say a total of 6 people, 3 men and 3 women, were taken into custody in what it called a targeted enforcement operation. Police say charges are pending, but didn't provide any additional details.
Get the Maritimes top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
They've been a point of tension in Halifax for years now. Encampments that pop up, then get cleared away. Now, one of the city's designated sites is about to be shut down, but not for the reasons you might expect. CTV's Hafsa Arif explains.
Signs are up. In just a month, this encampment will be cleared, not because of neighbor complaints, but because a care facility for seniors is about to open less than 20 meters away.
Puts two groups of people with special needs right next to each other. We want to try and minimize those kind of situations. So it's the same reason as not within 50 meters of a daycare.
Roughly 12 people live here. They've been told to move by September 21st. For many of the residents living around here, the encampment has been a problem.
We shouldn't be supporting people to be outside. If somebody is sick, they should be within a medical facility, right? We shouldn't be having people on the streets.
Joram Aguarao Toto has been living in the neighborhood for 2 years. He has seen the population grow and is relieved people won't be living outside his home.
It's not a comfortable situation. Some of them are fighting. Sometimes there was an incident last year whereby somebody was killed around here. One of them killed the other one.
Other nearby residents say the encampment hasn't caused too many problems.
To me, this looks like a nice little campground, right? And people, I've been through airplane tops, and there's nobody disrespectful here.
Some of the people from the encampment told CTV News they aren't eager to leave or go indoors. The city insists outreach teams are working to bring people inside.
We believe that there is enough space for everybody to take an indoor option.
City staff estimate just under 100 people are still living in encampments across Halifax, down from more than 200 just a few years ago. They say the decline is thanks to more shelter spaces and temporary housing options. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Halifax.
A much-anticipated men's transition shelter has opened in Dartmouth. The new Souls Harbor Mission for Men opened its doors today. They cut the ribbon and offered a tour of the facility. The renovated building has 6 bedrooms, 2 common areas, a kitchen and a bath. The rental facility is designed for men struggling with addiction.
This is the House of Hope, and it is a partnership with the Guadalupe Parish, and they've asked us to come in. They're providing it free of charge for us, and we are setting up supportive housing for men who have graduated from our recovery programs, as well as men coming out of prison who want to stay sober, but they need that transition into the community.
Souls Harbor Rescue Mission is now in its 14th year, helping people with recovery and hunger and housing needs. Look at that shot of Peggy's Cove, and the wave action, we are told, is picking up along the Rocky coastline. Let's bring in Caleb Mitchell right now. This will be no surprise to you. You've been forecasting this for a few days now.
Yeah, you saw that breaking wave there just in that video and around Peggy's Cove. And yeah, the waves are probably going to get bigger as we make our way through tonight and for tomorrow, really peaking around parts of the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia Friday afternoon to very early Saturday morning. This is, of course, because of Hurricane Erin. Latest update with Hurricane Erin is now accelerating its movement towards the northeast at 32 kilometers per hour, so it's taking it away from the eastern seaboard of the United States and on that path that'll mostly take it to the south and east of Atlantic Canada, keeping most of the impactful weather well offshore, but increasing that wave action again, mostly on the Atlantic coastline, and some of those near shore breaking waves, significant wave heights could be up between 6 and 12 feet or between 2 and 4 meters. That's what was showing up there through the yellows and the orange colors. The conditions around the coast should be calming down as we move through Sunday and into Monday. One of the other things that we talked a lot about with this storm, Todd, is potential impact when it comes to winds and the wildfire situation in the Maritimes. Now, winds today were quite favorable in the region. They were mostly light. They're variable in direction. But as that storm system moves past for tomorrow, winds are going to be increasing. This is a look at winds and wind direction in the vicinity of Annapolis County in Nova Scotia. We've got one of those large wildfires still ongoing. The wind direction is going to become northeast for tomorrow, and the winds are going to become gustier than the last couple of days. Today we didn't have much in the way of gusts. They are mostly sustained 5 to 15 kilometers per hour. Tomorrow you can see that even by around 10 a.m. some of those wind gusts coming up to the range of 30 to 40. And then after that, moving through the afternoon, we could have some wind gusts in the range of 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. Usually, Todd, those type of winds wouldn't be a big deal for us. But when you're talking about a situation with wildfires, you don't really want any uptick in wind speed, especially if it's not accompanied by any wet weather, which it won't be.
Well, that's good. We'll see a little later in the show for the full forecast. And the winds is something they are, as you mentioned, watching closely in the ongoing battle against wildfires. Nova Scotia has 3 active fires at the moment, but only the Long Lake fire is considered out of control now. Despite a lack of rain, officials say the firefighting weather has been very favorable, allowing crews to make good progress. However, they're also trying to factor in that possible change due to Hurricane Erin.
And we are expecting wind shifts and wind increases as the storm passes. So we're expecting wind shifts initially around to the east, then up to the northeast, and then by Sunday, shifting back around to the southwest. So that's a big focus of the crews on the fire.
The fire size right now remains unchanged at 3,200 hectares. Aircraft from Manitoba and the Northwest Territories have been very helpful. There are also 4 contracted helicopters working the fires, freeing up the province's fleet of helicopters to respond to any new breakouts. And in New Brunswick, there's 1 fewer wildfire burning tonight. The province is now reporting 19 active wildfires, with 5 out of control in remote parts of Northumberland and Restigouche counties. A section of Route 8, that's north of Miramichi, has now reopened. All Crown land remains closed in New Brunswick, but the city of Miramichi did reopen a few local trails today. All remain closed to all-terrain vehicles, though. A province-wide ban on burning is still very much in effect tonight. It began with worries around drug paraphernalia at a splash pad, then at nearby playgrounds. Now people living near a provincial shelter in Dartmouth are calling out damage and theft that's coming to businesses and homes. CTV's Emma Convey has more.
After years of fundraising for this splash pad in Dartmouth, those who helped make it a reality say a drug problem means they aren't able to enjoy it like they had hoped.
We don't see as many kids as we used to see playing in the playgrounds here. And yeah, just not that many people anymore. Don't know what happened.
Many of the families who use the splash pad are laying the blame on the doorstep of a local shelter. They're finding needles and drug paraphernalia.
A lot of people coming down from the bridge shelter, which is very near the splash pad. That is where we would assume that it is coming from. We have seen active drug deals happening in the splash pad.
The hotel turned shelter called The Bridge is a provincially owned homeless shelter with 178 beds. It's costing taxpayers $24 million a year.
That's as good a place as they could put them. You know, where are we going to put the poor souls? And until we get enough housing and places for them to live, we're going to be faced with them in these situations.
Some businesses not far from this shelter say since it's opened, it's caused them trouble.
Businesses are feeling the effects of the increased drug use and the increased numbers of shelters in that area through property crime.
Tim Mercesko with the Downtown Dartmouth Business Commission says shop owners already face so much uncertainty, and street issues are only adding more pressure.
Generally, small businesses and even residents in the Dartmouth area are very empathetic to the people that find themselves in those situations, but they're also concerned for their own futures as well.
While they're trying to be kind, they have a business to run. And there's, you know, stealing going on, and that goes along with addiction and mental health issues.
Area businesses, as well as one just down the street from the bridge shelter, were not comfortable going on camera today, citing safety concerns. But they did say they have seen an uptick in crime since the shelter opened. One business told me they recently had their windows smashed in, and another morning when they were opening, they had someone come in and try to take their cash register, but failed. Todd.
All right, Emma Convey continuing her reporting in Dartmouth this evening. A field in Dieppe became a community of thousands this afternoon pretty quickly as country music fans rushed to secure the best spots to see their favorite performers this weekend. As CTV's Derek Haggett reports, the YQM Country Fest is welcomed for the most part by the neighborhood that calls it home.
For the 4th summer in a row, people living near Dieppe City Hall will entertain around 20,000 new neighbors for 3 straight days.
We basically have a show right in their backyard, right?
The weekend YQM Festival features some of the biggest names in country music. What makes this one different from similar summer events in Cavendish and Halifax is YQM is located smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood.
Well, it's great. It's we're having family and friends over, and it's the one gathering in the summer, and it's lots of fun, good music, and good crowds.
It's also a good chance to make a quick buck for those with a little business savvy.
Basically around $4 to $5 grand just by selling water, Gatorade, popcorn, all that kind of stuff. So.
But the concert site here brings a lot of people here in the Dieppe area, puts us on the map, and I think it's great. It's great for the local economy.
Woo! There's my people!
Thousands in the streets, but most people don't mind too much.
The people are respectful. They're polite. You can see them. They're okay. I think it's good to bring the attention back to downtown Dieppe. They've done a lot of development. It looks good, and people should see it.
The city did add additional fencing this year to better protect the yards of property owners.
It has gotten significantly better. So, I mean, like with the gates, the security, just managing the people on the outside, it's actually been quite good.
But for some, the noise and the massive party is just a bit too much.
I mean, it's the wrong place to have it. None in the middle of I mean, there's houses all around.
The pros and cons of hosting a big show. The three-day festival will wrap up on Saturday night after Luke Bryan's performance, and then the staging and fencing will come down, and this neighborhood will go back to normal. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Dieppe.
In tonight's CTV web poll, we're asking this. Are you attending an outdoor music festival this summer? Maybe you already did. Your options are yes or no, or I wanted to, but I just couldn't make it happen. Now, after 6:30, Katie Kelly joins us live backstage at the YQM Festival, and you can vote on that poll right now at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Soon, Africville will be a home for sailors. The historic site on the Bedford Basin will house a marina. And as CTV's Stephanie Seco saw today, young people will learn and gather and take to sailing.
It's been a week of fun on the water for about a dozen African Nova Scotians and Indigenous youth.
We've been doing a lot.
We're rocking the waves, man.
Yeah, rocking the waves. We've been learning about sailing a lot, trying out some little boats, and
we've been on the napkin.
Yeah.
We were on the napkin for a little bit, you know. The napkin, I was high up in the air on the napkin.
They've been taking part in a mobile sailing school put on by Sail Nova Scotia and We Can Foil.
Nova Scotia has a great sailing and ocean culture here, and I think the more kids that can experience that on the water in sailboats, the better.
The program is free and has introduced sailing to more than 100 young people just this summer.
It was just an amazing experience, and I think the kids, well, I know the kids had a phenomenal time, and it was like above and beyond.
This week's school is happening in Africville, where a new marina and sailing school is in the works.
This is just phase one of a bigger project. We're really interested in opening the doors to Black and Indigenous students who want to learn how to sail.
The sailing school is being developed with Sail Nova Scotia, but there is much more in store.
We hope by 2027 we have the full marina in gear. So that means we have a building, we have seating area, and we have beautiful boardwalks that take people around the property of Africville and connect to the city of Halifax.
For now, these young people are soaking in their week of sailing, and so are their coaches, one of whom just took home gold at the Canada Summer Games.
Wow, it's just an amazing experience. It felt very professional, the environment, and yeah, it was like the top performance in Canada. And yeah, it's just been amazing coming back from that and like teaching these kids straight after that.
A week to remember with even more memories to be made once the marina is complete. Stephanie Seco, CTV News, Halifax.
Good day for that. All right, we'll step aside for our first break tonight. Still ahead, Kalen has his full forecast. Some good beach weather. First, though, staying home.
Despite all the big talk the last several months, still very closely intertwined economically.
Maritimers continue to choose not to travel across the international border. The numbers next. New data indicates more Americans are visiting Canada than Canadians going to the States. The trend comes as tariffs continue to see many Canadians opting not to travel across the border. CTV's Avery McRae has been breaking down the numbers. Avery, what'd you find?
Todd, the number of Canadians bound for the U.S. has outnumbered the amount of Americans looking to visit our side of the border every month since well before the pandemic. But as the trade war continues to see many Canadians avoid the States, that number has flipped. In June, nearly 1.8 million Americans made a visit to Canada, compared to just under 1.7 million Canadians who took a trip to the States. While overall travel was down in both directions compared to years past, the rare reversal is a clear indicator of how Canadians are feeling when it comes to tariffs implemented by U.S. President Donald Trump. But political science professor Jamie Essex says the boycott won't last forever.
That stuff is hard to sustain over a long period when you've got two countries like the U.S. and Canada that are, despite all the big talk the last several months, still very closely intertwined economically and socially, culturally.
Let's dive into these numbers further as it pertains particularly to our region. The amount of people using land crossings heading from New Brunswick into Maine dropped by nearly 80,000 less travelers this July compared to 2024. That marks the biggest single-month change year over year since the decline began in February. In July, 203,814 people crossed from New Brunswick into Maine by car at land ports, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Over the same month last year, that number was over 284,000 people. And it's not just maritime land ports seeing a drop in numbers here. The Cat Ferry, which transports passengers between Yarmouth and Bar Harbor, also continues to report a significant drop in Canadian bookings. As of August 14th, just under 34,000 passengers had trips booked on the boat going either direction, a decline of over 7,000 people from 2024. And Todd, there's already plenty of interest into what the August border crossing numbers will look like. In years past, it's been the busiest month for travelers crossing from New Brunswick into Maine, with nearly 309,000 travelers making the drive in 2024. Todd?
All right, that's Avery near the Fundy Quay, St. John this evening. Thank you. Still to come, we're watching Aaron. Kaylin will return with the full forecast, and we will find out just how much impact we might get from that storm. Thank you, photographer Daryl Reeves. These shots of vessels heading to and from Newfoundland and North Sydney.
Boats passing in the daylight.
That's right. And they had a sunny, beautiful day for that crossing. Sure did. But we hear that crossings might be affected over the next day or so because of what's making their way, and that's not surprising.
Wave action's going to pick up in the Cabot Strait as that storm moves past. That's the biggest impact that we're looking at here for Atlantic Canada, though, is the rougher surf conditions expected as we make our way through Friday and into Saturday for Nova Scotia and then for parts of Newfoundland on Saturday. Let's take a look at weather conditions across the country. Looking at some very pleasant conditions right now, Vancouver and Victoria sitting in the low 20s. Boy, there were some big booming thunderstorms in parts of the prairies yesterday. Areas of Alberta, parts Saskatchewan. There's a tornado warning out at one point in the vicinity of North Battleford in Saskatchewan. Saskatoon right now reporting some rain sitting at 20 degrees, 18 and rain at Thompson. Towards northern areas of Manitoba. Winnipeg, though, with a mix of sun and cloud, 25 degrees. Moving off towards the east, we've got low 20s right now through southern Ontario, but 26 degrees at both Ottawa and Montreal. Fredericton, 24. Halifax, 22. Charlottetown, 21. And in St. John's, Newfoundland, a little bit cooler, seeing some sunshine, but temperature at 13 degrees. Taking a look at our forecast timeline for cloud cover and precipitation, you'll notice some grays increasing from the south for the province of Nova Scotia. That is the first of the high cloud arriving from Hurricane Erin. Now that cloud will continue to increase into Friday morning, maybe accompanied by a little bit of mid-level cloud, but we don't get close enough to the lower cloud that will be producing the rain. That looks like it kind of stops right out and around Sable Island, the outermost edge of it. Winds are going to become a little bit gustier for tomorrow. We talked about that a little bit earlier on, but they turn towards the northeast, and especially for Nova Scotia, some of the gusts come up to the range of 30 to 50 kilometers per hour, so it'll be blustery. You will notice out at Sable Island, though, much stronger winds, and again, the passage of the storm for some of the outermost marine areas is going to be bringing some winds that can be close to tropical storm force strength, maybe even gusts that flirt with hurricane force wind gusts, and there'll be a dangerous sea state out there. At the same time, of course, rougher coastal conditions around Atlantic the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight for many parts of the Maritimes. High single digits, low teens, a little bit cooler than that for parts of the north and west of New Brunswick, where the sky may be a little bit more on the clear side tonight. Lows falling into a range of around 6 to 10 degrees. Highs in the north of New Brunswick for tomorrow between 21 and 25, with central and southern parts of the province with high temperatures in the low to mid-20s, including 25 at Fredericton and St. John and 22 degrees for Moncton in the southeast. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow, we're looking at 22 at Summerside and Charlottetown, near 20 at St. Peter's Bay and 21 at Montague. And then for Cape Breton, high temperatures 19 to 22 degrees for tomorrow. High teens, low 20s around both the North Shore and Eastern Shore of Nova Scotia. Cumberland, Colchester counties tomorrow, high temperatures in the low 20s. Truro, the high near 22 degrees. Halifax near 20. Same thing goes for Chester and Lunenburg. Liverpool and Shelburne closer to 21, 23 at Yarmouth. In the Annapolis Valley with high temperatures near 23 degrees. In the 7-day outlook, we're looking for some rain. There is actually a low chance of some showers in northern parts of New Brunswick on Saturday. Otherwise, a mix of sun and cloudy periods on Sunday. Next chance of showers becoming more widespread for the Maritimes is on Monday. After that, a chance of showers on Tuesday for New Brunswick and a mix of sun and cloud for Wednesday and Thursday. For Nova Scotia in the forecast, Erin is passing offshore Friday into Saturday. Some high clouds will be present at the end of the weekend on Sunday. Highs mostly around the mid-20s, low 20s on the coast. Showers expected on Monday. Chance of showers on Tuesday. Then a mix of sun and cloud. Highs in the low 20s on Wednesday and Thursday. And for Prince Edward Island coming up on Saturday, mostly sunny. Highs near 25. Mix of sun and cloud on Sunday. Highs near 26. Showers expected on Monday, followed by chance of showers on Tuesday. After that, a mix of sun and cloud. Highs in the low 20s on Wednesday and Thursday, Todd.
It's been an incredible run of sunshine.
Yeah, it has been. Really has been.
We'll see you at the end of the show. Thank you. Next, summer is typically quiet on the political front, but things are starting to heat up. We'll be joined by politics professor Alex Marlin. And in entertainment news, Katie Kelly is going country in Dieppe.
Jenna and Stu Walker of the Reclaws on stage right now at the 4th annual YQM Country Fest here in Dieppe. It's a beautiful day. There's a beautiful crowd and everything is great so far here at YQM. I'm heading backstage and I'm going to be talking to Jon Pardi on the scene for so stay tuned for that. I'll see you soon.
Welcome back. Well, the leader of the opposition gets his seat in the House of Commons, and Trump and Carney talked trade and security in the last couple of hours. Summer, usually a slow time for politics, but things are beginning to ramp up, so we've brought in Alex Marlin, the Jaroslavsky Chair of Political Trust and Leadership at Acadia University, and we're always happy to have you in studio. Welcome.
Thanks for having me back.
Let's start with that call between the Prime Minister and the President. We know it was initiated by the Prime Minister. We don't know what the contents were, other than they talked a little bit of trade, a little bit of security for North America, and a little bit of peace in Ukraine. Is it significant that it was the Prime Minister who reached out?
Well, I think when I look at these things is I think where does the information come from? So who's letting us know that these calls happen? And, you know, I strongly imagine that it's not exactly President Trump who's going around telling everyone, hey, look who I talked to. So, you know, clearly the Prime Minister's office wants Canadians to know that the Prime Minister is active and doing things and is not on some sort of summer vacation.
Right. They said that, you know, the direction from Ottawa was don't get too worked up about a deadline that comes and goes on trade, and it did that in August. But it has been some time since Canadians were given any indication of how the trade talks are going. Is there a window there for a new government, new Prime Minister like Mr. Carney, who was elected to sort of carry the sword on this one? Is there a window before they really have to give us a sense of what's happening?
So yes and no. I mean, these things go through rhythms. So after an election campaign, normally everybody is exhausted, including members of the media. And so once you start hitting summer, once you hit August, lots of politicians disconnect. Frankly, a lot of Canadians don't want to hear about it. And then the pattern is usually we will hear a lot of things about back to school. And so certainly the first week of September is everything is back to school. But once you hit the second week of September, that's when all the news coverage and all the politicking starts re-emerging.
Okay. We heard Doug Ford of Ontario come out very strong yesterday and take a swipe at President Trump. He's close to the Prime Minister. He likes the Prime Minister. He said as much. Is he perhaps being put in a role as Ottawa's attack dog on this?
To some extent. I mean, he comes across with a lot of credibility and has political chops that the Prime Minister doesn't. But another element to this is really his relationship with Pierre Poilievre, right? Of course, because, you know, his alignment and sort of support of the Prime Minister doesn't work well for Pierre Poilievre, and neither Ontario Premier Doug Ford nor Prime Minister Mark Carney are obviously close with Poilievre. So it's almost like they have a mutual enemy in it.
Right. Let me ask you one more thing about the trade and how it's being dealt with by the federal government, and then I want to move on to Mr. Poilievre. But a lot is being made, quite rightly so perhaps, about Western farmers and the canola tariff, increased tariff by China on that commodity. Again, haven't heard much from Ottawa. Do Western farmers, do Westerners have a right to be upset about this?
Well, I mean, Westerners will always have a reason to be upset with Ottawa, let's be honest. But absolutely, they want to see action on this. But there's a lot of people who are worried and a lot of people are anxious. I think where the political climate is right now is a lot of people are still willing to give Mark Carney the benefit of the doubt. They're still waiting to see what he's able to do. And I think in many ways this fits his brand, right? Slow, calculating, methodical, analyzes things. He doesn't come across as the type of person who's impulsive and just makes quick political decisions. So I think that a lot of Canadians are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. When that ends is not clear.
Well, Mr. Poilievre, no doubt, is certainly going to try to speed that up, because he's already called him weak on the U.S. and the China file. He just won his by-election in rather convincing fashion. That's no surprise to you or anyone else. He had a tone that seemed to work when taking on then Prime Minister Trudeau in the House of Commons. Does that change when he comes back to the House of Commons?
Well, yeah, well, we'll have to see for sure. He's obviously very aware of that. I'm a big fan of the expression that if you campaign and advocate for and really put yourself forward for the job of leader of the opposition, that's the job you're going to get. And so we saw that really with, you know, Tom O'Carroll as leader of the opposition with the NDP back against Stephen Harper, that in the end what happens is people don't see you as prime ministerial. And so if Pierre Poilievre is serious about wanting to be somebody that people can look at as a prime minister, he has to adjust and change with the political winds. And the way he behaved up until the end of Justin Trudeau's time was acceptable to a reasonable number of Canadians, enough that it looked like he might become prime minister. But since the advent of Donald Trump and all his threats about Canada and the ascendancy of Mark Carney, I think what people are looking for now is, frankly, a lot more maturity, a lot more gray hairs, somebody who is not going to be so negative all the time. And we've already seen from Mr. Poilievre, you know, he's made comments about willing to work with anybody. That's not something that we're used to hearing.
Do you think you'll see a leadership review within his party? And how do you think that might shake down? We're way out from that, but it's being batted around.
Right. So in the new year, what we'll see is Conservatives get together and decide whether or not there should be a leadership review process. I think something to think about here is there's no clear individual who's really mobilizing and pushing and angling to get Poilievre out, the way that Poilievre was behind getting Erin O'Toole, the previous leader, pushed out the door. So the reality is, though, that the Conservative MPs also have the ability to trigger a provision of something called the Reform Act, and at any time they could potentially get rid of Pierre Poilievre as well. So for Poilievre, he's got to be constantly worried about the fact that he needs to make sure that he's giving sort of red meat to the Conservative base, while at the same time attracting enough Liberals and maybe NDP supporters and Bloc Québécois who in public opinion polls show that they're a little hesitant, or sometimes quite a bit hesitant, about Poilievre being prime ministerial material.
All right, well, it's a lot to watch for, a lot to think about heading into September. Alex Marlin, thank you for coming in, as always.
All right, my pleasure.
Appreciate your input. We'll take a time out. Lots of your local news on the other side. Stay with us. In health and medical news tonight, Quebec's new RSV immunization campaign is making a big impact for babies. CTV's Jesse Thomas has that and more in tonight's edition of The Lifeline.
A record number of kids across Canada are turning to support programs to help them get through the school day without getting hungry. Breakfast Club of Canada is the country's largest school food provider. The organization says at least 1 in 3 children in the country are arriving at school hungry almost every day, and nearly 2.5 million children live in a food-insecure household, which represents a third of the children in the country. And Quebec is reporting fewer babies being admitted to hospital after the province's first RSV immunization campaign appears to be making a big impact. Santé Quebec says hospital admissions for infants have dropped dramatically since it launched last fall by 90%. Experts call RSV the leading cause of hospitalization for babies under 1 year old in Canada. And a new study finds cats and humans develop dementia in similar ways, offering hope for Alzheimer's research. Scientists found amyloid beta buildup in cat brains, the same protein linked to human dementia. Symptoms in cats, memory loss, confusion, and behavior changes mirror what happens in people. Experts say studying feline dementia could lead to better treatments for pets and humans. Reporting for The Lifeline, I'm Jesse Thomas.
Well, the scene tonight is in Dieppe, New Brunswick, the next few nights actually, where YQM Country Fest is in full swing. It kicked off this afternoon. CTV's Katie Kelly is live backstage with a special guest. Howdy, Katie.
Howdy, Todd. Thank you so much. Jon Pardi, great to see ya.
Yeah, what's up, Todd?
You already had, you clearly have a lot of fans here. We even just had a fan creeping in from behind the curtain there. Welcome back. Clearly people are excited to see ya.
Yeah, I think that was like the lunch lady, but you know, they get excited right here.
I bet they do. Have you had a chance to go upstairs and have something to eat? There's some good food here.
Oh yeah, no, I'm on a diet, just, you know, starvation, just trying to keep up, you know, get the energy.
Well, I actually saw on your Instagram you going for a run with your daughters in the stroller. Is that what you've been doing for exercise these days?
Yep, and working out. Yep, I worked out with Kane today, Planet Fitness. It was fun, and then got a good workout, and then went for a run out here. Saw the Chocolate River.
Cool.
Yep, it's brown.
It is brown. So you have been to the East Coast a couple times now. What do you think of this part of the world?
It's beautiful. Weather's really nice right now. I'll take it. I don't think I'm going to sweat that much tonight, so that's really great for summertime. I'm a sweater. Shout out to anybody that sweats out there. It can be miserable at some points in your life, but you know what? Just power through it.
Well, I think the reason you sweat is because you work really, really hard up there. You live up to the name Pardi. You bring a lot of energy. I actually was surprised you were even doing interviews because I feel like he's one of those people that might need to like have some downtime first just to save your energy. How do you get up there and do what you do?
I got my nap in today. I got my downtime, and you know, I was like, hey, we don't come out here a lot, so I'll do an interview, you know.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Well, thank you, because everyone's so excited to see you.
Well, you know, I'm up here. I got to say hi to everybody. Hello, everybody.
Yes, and this is live, so, you know, we're here in Dieppe. People watching, they still have time. You're on, what time are you on? It's 6:50. You're on at 7:30?
Yeah, like that. Well, that's 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's tons of time, so people could still come out and see you.
Tons of time. They can be wasted by the time I get up there.
So, you didn't bring the family, right?
No, you know, even though we had the most nicest ever border crossing. I mean, ever. West Coast border crossing guys, they like hate me for some reason. This guy was the nicest dude, so thank you to the border cross agent. He just saw the passport, buses. He was like, I'm gonna try to make it, but I have a bachelor party. So I think he's having a bachelor party, probably having a little more fun, you know what I'm saying, boys out there. And anyway, but like, today's gonna be awesome. So.
Okay, so even though you came without the fam, that's okay. At least you got across well.
The thing was, it's like, yeah, I gotta have all the passports for the babies. It's it's a little hard, even though they would love it. But that's why I brought up the border crossing. I mean, I don't even think Sienna has a passport, so.
Fair enough, I get it. But we would love to see the babies one day.
I would love to see the babies too.
I know, I'm sure you don't get to see them as much as you would like. We only have a minute left, and I really, really want you to get in some plugs for your new album because it's awesome, and it's the coolest album name ever. Honky Tonk Hollywood? How cool is that? Oh, yeah, I like the way you say it. You say it like that.
Honky Tonk Hollywood. Yeah. Check it out. It's a great album. You'll love it. Hell, it's available everywhere.
No little nuggets about, you know, what makes it so great?
I think it's just where I'm at in my life. You know, there's a lot of good I mean, it's not really, there's a lot of good dancing songs, making love songs, and there's some songs about family, and, there's some beer drinking songs in there, and it's just a well-rounded country album. So from top to bottom, you can let it play, and I know you guys will enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to see you on the YQM stage tonight, and I know, Jon Pardi, that you're going to bring the party.
See, I'm saving all my energy right now during this interview for my dance move later.
Okay. Awesome. You can't give us a little taste? No.
You got to buy the ticket, baby. You got to buy the ticket.
All right, you heard what he said. Jon Pardi's on the stage in, 45 minutes, so you still have time to get down here. And then Kane Brown.
Kane.
Yes, here at YQM Country Fest, Todd.
Hey, Katie, I don't think Jon even needs to sing tonight. He just needs to get up on stage and talk to the folks, and they'll have a great time.
I agree. He's awesome, but hopefully he'll do some singing, too.
Yeah, well, we'll look forward to talking to you again tomorrow night. Have a good time in Dieppe. Let's take a break with what's on CTV this evening.
With Aaron and Peter. Weekdays at 7, you can win $1,000 with the $1,000 minute.
10 questions in 60 seconds to win, and you can get the answer to question number 10 on our podcast.
In our market report tonight, the Dow ended the day down 152 points. The fate of those empty spaces the Hudson's Bay stores used to inhabit are still very much being debated in court. BNN's Marla Fernandez has details.
There's more opposition to a BC billionaire's push to take over lease agreements from the Bay. The team overseeing the credit protection case for the failed retailer says it doesn't think landlords should be forced to accept Ruby Lou as a tenant. Those landlords say Lou's team doesn't have retail experience and the timelines for renovation aren't realistic. Here's a look at how the trading day ended. Another dip for the Canadian dollar, putting it under 72 cents U.S. West Texas Intermediate is up, hitting 63.52. Western Canadian Select up almost $1 to 49.42. And the TSX jumped 176 points today to 28,055. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marla Fernandez.
Kaylin's on the deck. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I'm going to save some words so you can get right to this beautiful photo.
Oh, yes, and this one is coming in from Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. And it's a great shot taken from this morning, and it was sent in by Craig May and features just some of the scenery around Lunenburg, a little bit of mist there as well. I want to thank Craig very much for taking the time to share that picture. Lunenburg for tomorrow, cloudy periods, and that cloud cover is actually going to be off of Hurricane Erin. It's mostly going to be high to mid-level cloud. The high temperature for Lunenburg tomorrow near 20 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow across the maritime region, so we have that cloud cover increasing for the province of Nova Scotia. A bit of that cloudiness showing up around the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick and parts of Prince Edward Island. The sunniest conditions in the Maritimes tomorrow will be through northern and central areas of New Brunswick. Morning temperatures mostly around the high single digits and low teens. And then for the afternoon, a lot of high temperatures in the region tomorrow, low to mid-20s. Mid-20s most widespread in the province of New Brunswick. Mostly low 20s for both Prince Edward Island as well as Nova Scotia. Todd.
All right, Kaylin, you have a good night. I know you're going to be very busy tomorrow, so we'll see you then. Finally for us tonight, passengers at Halifax Stanfield International Airport seeking directions. Well, they have a couple of new options to guide them on their journey. There they are. One of them anyway. The airport has hired custom-built robots to answer travelers' questions. They zip around the terminal and use voice technology. The airport teamed up with Maritime Robotics for the project. It's all part of an effort to use technology to enhance the services at the airport. And in the summer, there's usually a lot of people with a lot of questions, so they will be busy. And that is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco has our late newscast at 11:30, CTV News, Atlantic.ca with updates. I'm Todd Battis. See you here tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Until then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.